Have you ever felt like you're drowning in emotions, but no one can really see it? It's almost like you feel like you're carrying the weight of the world, but you have to keep almost like pretending that everything is just fine. This is the silent struggle of emotional overwhelm, something that many of us have experienced, yet people really rarely talk about. Today, we're going to be breaking that silence together. And for those of you who are new, a warm welcome here to my channel. My name is Evette Rose, and also remember to subscribe and also stay up to date and join me every Wednesday for our free weekly masterclasses at matmasterclass.com. Now, what is emotional overwhelm? It might seem quite simple, but because we all experience emotions and thoughts and negative patterns and habits in such a diverse way. I mean, we have a it's like a generalized concept and understanding for what it is, but that experience is so incredibly unique to many of us. And emotional overwhelm isn't just feeling stressed. It's actually when emotions become so intense that your nervous system almost just cannot process all of them at the same time. It's also why you might, for example, struggle to focus to make a decision, feel almost like you're just constantly drained, always exhausted, even after resting. You might also experience, say, random waves of anxiety or sadness. Maybe you feel like just completely shutting down and withdrawing, or you just want to avoid everything, right? It's almost like it's all or nothing. Now, why is it that this happens? Because to understand emotion overwhelm, we really need to also talk about our brain and understand overwhelm from that perspective as well. Because our brain has a built-in emotional processing system. It's almost like a computer, right? If you are on your computer right now and you're watching me there, exactly like that, that software, for example, would work. So we have the amygdala. Remember, that's our fear center. So that detects threats, whether it's real or imagined. And our frontal cortex, that's our thinking brain. That is actually supposed to help us to process emotions logically. But when emotions is flooding too fast, the prefrontal cortex actually get overloaded and the brain actually shifts into survival mode. And that's why when you're overwhelmed, you might actually feel frozen, unable to think clearly, and you get easily irritated or very emotional. And you almost feel like you just want to escape, but you don't know where to or even how, or even necessarily what from. Because when we feel overwhelmed, there's an influx of various different types of emotions that's now coming to the surface as well. And it's a little bit messy, and it's hard to sit there and pinpoint exactly what the challenge could be or what that main emotion is. I mean, the brain is literally saying too much. I can't process any of this all at once. Like, just stop. And when we look at the hidden effects of emotional overwhelm, this is now where this important point comes in. Because when overwhelm becomes constant, it actually rewires your brain. You see, the nervous system gets stuck in that fight or flight or that freeze mode, even when there's no real danger. And now, on top of that, your stress hormones, your cortisol, your adrenaline, this stays high, keeping your body in that survival mode. And now, over time, this can actually lead to chronic stress, burnout, anxiety, and even physical illness. This is why emotional overwhelm isn't just in your head. It's in your body as well. And that's why healing has to happen at a deeper level. Now, it's a great question to ask, how do I heal from that overwhelm? So how do we stop these cycles? Because how do you, for example, process emotions instead of actually getting stuck in them? There are three powerful science-backed techniques to calm emotional overwhelm. Step one is to ground yourself into the present moment. And I have to say, for me personally, that has been probably the most powerful go-to tool and action and step and switch in my mental space to really create the change that it is that I need in that moment. It might be different for you. But this helps to actually stop the emotional flooding. Because when your emotions hit too fast, your nervous system, it really needs a reset. So a really great way to do that is breath work. Now, many of you might know I love the technique where you breathe in the mouth, out the nose 13 times. And the last breath you hold as long as you feel comfortable. You're going to feel dizzy, so lie down if you can, and then exhale. And there's just this beautiful calmness that just comes over me. Another grounding technique also for me is to stand up and jump. I stand up and I jump and I shake my arms and my legs until I am absolutely exhausted. And the reason why this works is because if you're overwhelmed and there's an instinctive response that's trying to act out, but it's stuck, and your body is being flooded with all this adrenaline, all this cortisol, normally what needs to happen is there's a certain type of movement that's trying to be executed, but it cannot because of many other factors now taking place as well. So what you can do to actually help the body is it's almost like you pretend you're acting out that running away or that fighting response, right? Just get the body to use the adrenaline and the cortisol that is being flooded now throughout the entire body. That for me also has been an incredibly powerful tool as well. Another factor here that's helped me tremendously, the last one, is identify and name your emotions. And the reason why that works is to help you to regain control. Because research actually shows that labeling emotions helps the brain to process them faster, right? So instead of actually saying that I am overwhelmed, try to say, for example, I feel anxious because I have too much to do, right? I feel hurt because I didn't feel heard. Or I feel exhausted because I'm carrying too much. You see, when you name emotions, you actually tell your brain, I know what this is. This is not an unidentified, experience or threat or something that can escalate. It actually makes you feel more in control. And it tells the brain, I can handle this. So it's starting to move from crisis into we're actually going to be okay. Because remember that your body isn't just carrying emotions, it's actually trying to release it, let it. And if something is, for example, like anxiety and depression and unhappiness, if that is a challenge for you, then I would highly recommend that you grab a copy of my book, The Contentment Code, which is a book about happiness and my experiences with it as well. And also The Anxious Dialogue. If you struggle with anxiety, this is going to be another great book for you. And if depression is your pain point, go get your copy of this book as well. You can get all your copies at evettebooks.com. Now, a final reflection that I quickly would like to share here with you as well is remember what we already covered today. Emotional overwhelm doesn't mean that you're weak. Emotional overwhelm doesn't mean that you are weak. It means that your brain is overloaded and it just needs support. And really powerful reflective questions that you can ask yourself. What's one emotion that I need to acknowledge today? How can I create space to feel my feelings without judgment? And what's one small step that I can take to regulate my nervous system today? So there you have it for today's episode. So everyone, if this episode today helped you, hit the like button. Remember to subscribe also for many, many more mind, body healing tips. And also share this perhaps with someone who might need it. And drop in the comments bar. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, I love you guys. Bye-bye. Take care. And remember, if you want to learn more about stored emotions in the body and how they can even be hiding behind ailments, tension, pain, negative thoughts, beliefs, any challenges that you're having in your body, there's going to be stored messages. So remember to go grab your copy of Metaphysical Anatomy. It's a big book of 722 medical ailments and then the emotions that are suppressed behind them as well. You'll be also finding powerful questions in this book that can really truly help you to get started on your healing journey. And you can find your copy at evettebooks.com.